Disclaimer, this podcast is not affiliated with, endorsed by, or connected to Alcoholics Anonymous, Al-Anon, or any other 12-step program. Content provided is based solely on personal experiences and information that has been shared with me. The purpose of this podcast is to share insights in the hope that they may be helpful to listeners. I am not in any way a professional in the fields of addiction or recovery, so the opinions expressed are solely my own. For professional advice, for support, information, or help about 12-step programs, please consult with a qualified professional, not me. Attend official program meetings, which are on their official websites. Thanks. Tradition 12, the spirit of sacrifice, word of mouth, practicing spiritual principles before our big old personalities, how to be a real spiritual ninja. This and more in Tradition 12. All right, so our last dance, the last chance, the last tradition in the traditions. Tradition 12. This is the last before we grow on up into the concepts. It says, anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities. That is it, right there. Principles before personalities. That's what all these, that's what all these traditions are about, is making sure that my, big old personality doesn't go in like a bull in a china shop and just ransacks and ravages through my relationships in my life. There's a few things that come up in Tradition 12 that you may hear me flipping the page, because it really does help me to kind of look at the highlights in the 12 and 12 and just remind myself. And it's really amazing because no matter how long I pass on these traditions and concepts and read them and share them, that practicing really does take time. And the more that I pass this on, the more that I'm taking people through, the more it reminds me of how much I need these traditions and concepts in my life. A sentence that sticks out in Tradition 12 is this sentence where it says, the spiritual substance of anonymity is sacrifice. And so when I hear that word, sacrifice, I can get really upset because I'm like, God, I feel like I've sacrificed everything. And I love the definition of sacrifice. It says the surrendering or destruction of something prized or desirable for the sake of something considered as having a higher or more pressing claim. Oh my God, that's it in a nutshell. I have this mind that wants instant gratification, instant pleasure, wants everything now, doesn't want to wait. I'm not a reactor and emotional pyromaniac, mental pit bull. I'm like the Tasmanian devil when I'm not putting these principles in my life. And that is what's, to me, at the heart of Tradition 12 is this idea of, been talking about checking your motives, where I just pause for a second and really think things through and realize that something prized or desirable, like that needing, wanting to be right, thinking I know what's best, wanting to be the expert, trying to be all things to all people. If I just pause, what I really get is something better. I surrender the self and rise into, or go deeper into, the soul self, spiritual self. And there is where I get less friction and a lot more compassion, love, tolerance, patience, understanding in my relationships. And of course, the first stop is my relationship with myself and that power, and then others. And there's, when you look up sacrifice too, it says an offering. So it's like I'm gonna give up me having the need to be the main lead actor in everybody's life and step down. And the more I do that, the better my life gets, the better my relationships gets. And it's really growing up. It's about spiritually growing up. These are just childish antics for me when I'm reacting, when I'm impulsive, when I'm demanding, when I think I'm the know-it-all. I can think of periods with children just in developing, right? They have that sense where they might be 7 years old or starting school and get a little knowledge, and they might start to be a little defiant. And then, God, my teenage years were all about that. Gather a little more knowledge. Don't tell me I know what's best. And that's just part of developing as a human being. It's appropriate at those ages. It's not appropriate when I'm 54. I've learned to spiritually grow up, and the traditions are kind of like that spiritual teenager that I grow out of to start to realize I don't actually want to behave that way anymore. And for me, I love too when it says this idea that I want to tell everybody what I'm doing and tell everybody if I have a solution to something or an answer to something or I've discovered something, I just want to tell the world. A, because I'm just excited about what I've learned, and then B, because I start to think of everybody that could use the information or the solution that I have. And that's normally not the case. It works for me. It might not work for anyone else. Even this, the traditions work in my life. They work in my business relationships with my clients, with my Oz, with my Doug. Well, my Doug's a work in progress. And with my friends, with my family. Oh man, I really need to practice it in my family. It's not my family, it's me. I'm always that fear of what they will think of me, fear of that need of approval. And I can take that into any area really in my life. So not just with my family, but because I have the longest relationship with my family, that's obvious where I actually have to let that spiritual rubber hit the road. Love this. It talks about, it became apparent that the word of mouth method was too limited. Our work needed to be publicized. But there comes a place where I need to check my motive. Is this really necessary? What did my old sponsor used to say? Does it need to be said? Does it need to be said now? And does it need to be said by me? And unless it's all three of those, for the most part, I play that elder statesman. I don't know if I'm really an elder statesman, but I'm growing towards that. Like that's my goal, is to just sit back and really listen with an open heart and an open mind and arm myself with all the facts first before I start being that bull in the china shop, which I was when I was a kid. I was the only one out of I think I've said this story, out of my three sisters that actually was not allowed to go into any glass or china section in a department store. So I was born an original sinner, and I was born the proverbial bull in the china shop. But today I'm more like Ferdinand the bull, which is a great story. I love Ferdinand the bull. Like, I'm so Ferdinand. I just want to smell the flowers and sit under the tree and, just be like, hey, bro, we're good. Be you, I'll be me. The other principle here, talk about principles before personalities, is, I love this, as this tide of offering top public approval swept in, we realized that it could do us incalculable good or great harm. Everything would depend on how it was channeled. Oh my God, I love that. How it was channeled, incalculable good or great harm. Again, I'm just repeating myself, and in the way the traditions kind of repeat the same sort of thing over and over again and just build a little bit more and try to bring it on home, wrap it all up by saying, like, take a pause here. Am I really thinking about what's best here? Am I thinking about the greater good? Am I creating unity, or am I creating more chaos and confusion and harm here if I do what I'm about to do or say what I'm about to say? This idea of really pausing, and that's in step 10 in the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, is to pause when agitated or doubtful. If I'm not certain, I just wait. My old sponsor used to say, God says yes, no, or not yet. And a lot of times it's not yet. And I'm not good at waiting. And I love this. The promoter instinct in us might be our undoing. And that is so true. I've had that where I've stepped in thinking I'm being helpful. This will really help them. And it's totally spit up in my face. When it comes to my business and clients, even then, I really have to check my motives, and I can arm myself with the facts about how I think I may best help and serve a client. But I have to just pause to really make sure that this is what's best, and this is, I'm being channeled, I'm being guided to share or impart the information or the solution with that person. It might be too soon, and I may tell them that, and it may upset them. So I have to always really be mindful of these things. And later on in the tradition 12, it says here principles would have to come before personalities without exception. I love that. There's no, I'm the exception to the rule. This is the exception to the rule. There isn't. These spiritual principles have to come first, and I have to let my personality take a back seat. And that is so hard for my personality to be the passenger in its own car. Even when I'm driving with my fiance, even though I know how to drive, he's driven here so much longer than me. I have to sit back and let him make the informed decisions about the route we're going to go. Now, granted, sometimes I'm not 100%. There's times I'll say to him, wow, this is the scenic route, isn't it? Okay, that's a little passive aggressive there. But I catch myself. I try not to do that. Tradition 12, put these principles into work and let that personality take a back seat. Oh my God, the phone is ringing. It doesn't mean that I'm an automaton. It doesn't mean that I'm going to be a robot and not be Lucmila and bring my personality into things. I just have to be careful when that personality all of a sudden just wants to bulldoze on through. And that's where, for me, just slowing my breathing down. It sounds weird, but just slowing my breathing down and saying to myself, just listen here, Lucmila, with an open mind and an open heart. I know you think you have the answer right now. I know you think you have the solution, but just listen with your heart and mind. I love this. It's an all-pervading spiritual quality. I love that. Pervading. It means it can just go through everything, every area, every nook and cranny of our life. We try to give up our natural desires for personal distinction. And as we allay these very human aspirations, we believe each of us takes part in the weaving of a protective mantle which covers our whole society and under which we may grow and work in unity. And you can take out that which covers our whole society, which covers me and my relationships. It protects me from destroying my relationships and my life and my business. I want this. I want to grow and work in unity. And that's what Tradition 12 does. It is the greatest safeguard against my small self overriding the deeper part of Lucmila that actually is connected with this power that wants only the best in every area of my life and every relationship I have in my life. So that is it. That is the finale. Finally, it happened to me. I don't know. I always break out into song. Might be my theater background there clicking in. Of course, when we're talking about theater background, we're not talking about 5 years ago. We're talking about in my high school years, okay, and then a little bit in my 20s and 30s and dabbling a bit in my 40s. And when I'm talking theater, we're not talking Broadway. I'm just a theatrical person, and I don't mean professionally. I'm a total amateur, and I can be an amateur about many things in my life. Anyway, that is all, my friends. You have made it to this is the end, but a new beginning into the concepts. Oh boy, I've got a couple things left here. One suggestion is for anyone that is interested and they're not a part of AA or Al-Anon, or if you are part of AA Al-Anon, then you can go to the Alcoholics Anonymous website. They have the service manual. I think it's like the AA World Service Manual and Concepts or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head, but you can scroll and look for it, and they have a free PDF version. It's a virgin pamphlet, never been touched by anyone. Now you will touch it. No, it's a PDF version of the service manual, and in the second half of that service manual are the concepts. So if you want to begin to kind of read ahead and look over them, feel free. The concepts will be a bit longer. They're not going to be this kind of 15-minute thing. They might be a half hour to an hour, or I may just decide to do a part A and part B. If you have questions or you want to leave comments, please do so. And the other thing that I want to end with is a prayer that my first sponsor gave me, Nancer, you know who you are. That is called the Tradition Prayer. So this is how it goes. And I'm going to insert Oz's name just for context here. I pray to you, meaning your higher power, or whatever that is, on behalf of Oz, that I may come to know how to best relate to Oz according to your will for me. Grant Oz knowledge of your will for him and the power to carry it out. And God, grant me knowledge of your will for me and for us, and give me the power to carry it out. That's the Tradition Prayer, and it's great. Sometimes I will do that. Just remind myself, God, I know that you know what's best for Oz. Help me to stay out of your way, and help me to know that, give him that moment of clarity to know your will for him and to carry it out, and just let me know how to relate to him according to your will for me. Okay, thanks so much, everyone, for joining me through this. It will forever be up here, but even if this is like 5 years in the future and you put a comment or have a question, God willing, I will be able to answer it. Oh, I forgot one more thing. In the intro, I mentioned a spiritual ninja, and the title of it is How to Be a Spiritual Ninja. I don't know why I'm kind of going down on spiritual ninja, because I feel like ninja is that discreet, stealth-like ninja. All right, there's the obvious definition of a ninja is that highly trained martial arts, stealth, ninjutsu, right? They're hired for covert purposes, ranging from espionage, sabotage, assassination. But the second definition is a person who is expert or highly skilled in a specified field or activity. That's what happens in the tradition. I put God first, I work from these principles, and I become that ninja person who is highly skilled. And a ninja, right? It's covert. It's stealth-like. So I'm not coming in like a big billboard, meme, viral video or whatever. I'm a ninja. Knows when to hold them. Knows when to fold them. Knows when to walk away. Knows when to run. Good old Kenny Rogers. Ninjas. Spiritual ninjas. Expertly trained in spiritual art of compassion, love, and tolerance, and kindness, patience, understanding. That's the goal, mon frères. Adieu, adios, hasta luego, sayonara, jane. That's it. All right, thanks so much, everyone. See you in the concepts. That ends another round. Bing, bing, bing. Woohoo! TKO knockout. Spiritually knocked out with the traditions, with me, Busmila. As always, share. Sharing is caring. Subscribe, please. Por favor. Comment in Podbean and rate it so this can be freely given to more people. And we'll see you next time for another episode of Traditions. Kind of doesn't go with the background music of the Latin flair. Ugh, I don't understand how people do these outros things. So hard.